There's something that I don't know if you noticed. Right there. We're going to discuss that today. Also, we're going to discuss the crackdown that's happening in the United Kingdom, because if we allow the things to happen there to happen here, and guess what? It will, because you have two people that are pushing against true free speech. Both these candidates that are running against the former president, both have stated that your freedom of speech does have limitations. Does it? Does the Second Amendment have limitations? Does the freedom of speech have limitations? That's something we need to talk about today, because that's what this party is pushing. And here's what I want to show you. This is shown very much so in the UK, because they don't have the freedoms that we have. And you're starting to see the reasons why and what's the repercussions of it. If we allow that limited speech and that limited style freedom actually happen here, then we're going to see what's happening in the UK happen in America. And I'm going to show you something that you may have not noticed at that rally. That picture. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today. Now, our goal is that we always spread information that helps you, not only helps you, gives you a little bit more information to gain wisdom to try to seek a common sense approach to the crazy world that we live in. That's the most important thing, because we have to raise our families. We have to make sure that we are doing all we can to conserve our freedoms and our liberties that we have. Now let's talk about today's video. Two things. What are we seeing in UK, and is that coming here? We're already seeing some of those signs come here. First, let's talk about the UK and then show you how it's starting to creep over here. Then we're going to jump into the rally photo. I want you to listen to this. This came from Sky News that reported on the UK, and this was a person in leadership. It says, we do have a dedicated police officer source that are scouring social media to look up for materials and then follow up with the rest. The Director of Public Prosecutions of England and Wales warns that sharing online information about the protest could be an offense. Now, what's actually happening? Let's go back right now. What they consider the right wing, but the people of Britain, the people that want to conserve the traditional rights, the people that want to hold on to the fact of closed borders and less immigration and what's happening, and wants to hold to traditional values, are the ones that's being prosecuted against. If they retweet or they reshare something about these protests, they're getting reprimanded and getting held to an offense, thrown into prison. There's been several occasions where they skipped prosecution, as in going to some kind of court system, and went straight to jail and prison over in the UK. Now I want you to listen to this. This is from Rebel News. It says that a pro-immigration protester, though, was yelling on a microphone in the United Kingdom, saying we need to cut their throats out of them and get rid of them. He wasn't arrested. So what we're seeing is a double standard. You're seeing the fact in the UK, you're seeing pro-migrant groups, Muslim groups, go in there and literally destroy and beat people to pieces and annihilate businesses, and nothing gets done. But all of a sudden, if you see someone who is conservative, someone who has traditional views over there, stand up and say, you know, we're going to stand against this, they're getting thrown in jail, thrown in prison. Now that seems extreme, and you think I'm joking. Go and actually look at the data. Look at the investigative journalism happening in the UK, and you can only find it on X because no one else wants to share that. But what's happening is they are doing a massive crackdown on true British individuals, and really for people who just want to say, look, I just want to have normal UK days back. I just want to see Great Britain thrive. No. The Muslim population is pushing for Sharia law, and they're also pushing for a new version of the United Kingdom. And guess what? Their new leader, their bloated liberal party over there, is giving them just what they want. What's so funny is they're just pawns in a puppet, because these people will use them the same way, and UK will fall. Now there's massive demonstrations, but they're not getting any traction, and no one is standing with them. They're getting arrested day in and day out. Now, this also brings up the fact that right now the authoritarians in UK is demanding that X be shut down in the UK. There's the article right there. They're not demanding any other social media presence because they can control them, but they're demanding Twitter to be shut down in the UK. Why? Because people are sharing those messages about trying to encourage the people to stand up for their freedoms. So now the government is trying to shut down platforms. Kind of reminds me of a former president that got shut down here, huh? You don't believe this kind of stuff is trickling over here? I want to bring up one more thing, and I'm going to tell you this. I actually don't support Scott Ritter too much. I really don't. To me, he's got some crazy views. Some views are good. But look at this. FBI starts to invade Scott Ritter's home. That's in America. He speaks against Ukraine. He speaks against war, and really has become a bigger name in the anti-war movement. Why is all of a sudden FBI searching his home? Why are they taking his passport? Well, they're going to throw up all these charges, and if he's guilty, he's guilty. But it seems to me when someone pushes back on the government, even in a place that we call freedom, kind of like the lady praying in front of the clinic and gets arrested. The people that go into the Capitol on a tour gets arrested. Now, when someone speaks against the machine, they're getting investigated. Think of the former president. He's been raided. He's been lawfared against, an attempt on his life. We're starting to see the exact same things that's happening in the UK happen right here. When we see raids happening on our homes, I think of Amos, the Amish, who was selling his food, independence, and having a way that he could give his agriculture, make money, and provide for his people in his community. Gets arrested, gets seized. All because that independence, that sustainability is a threat to a machine. Twitter is a threat to the machine. And that's where I think that you're going to see more and more step up. Now here's where it becomes an issue here. The two people that are running for the DNC and the Democratic Party, both have talked about confiscation. Did you know it just came out yesterday that Harris and her husband gave money basically to defund enforcement against the rioters? Now here's where the catch-22 is. If they can weed out good cops and they can weed out good enforcement, then it only leaves bad enforcement that supports them. Guess what's happening in Britain? The UK police force is standing alongside the people that are wanting pro-immigration and pro-flooding the borders and also no freedom. Why? Well, because they weeded all the good ones out, and now they have the ones that just say yes sir, yes ma'am, and listen to the machine that's paying their bills. If we weed good cops out here and good enforcement out here, and we weed out good sheriffs and good policemen, what we end up having is a modern day Gotham. And we have all these bad, corrupt individuals now leading and enforcing laws that are frivolous. I think about how we saw police close down seeds in a lot of these liberal states. Tim Walz was one of them. But then again, they'll give you rights to riot, but not to buy seeds. So are they enforcing the law, or are they enforcing what the bureaucracy is telling them? Again, good versus bad when it comes to taking out the good cops and allowing the bad cops to lead. Enforcement is not a good thing when they are enforcing the opposition or enforcing a narrative that is not bringing freedom. It's amazing how we elect people to go to Washington to ultimately set new policies and new regulations for us to follow. That's kind of an oxymoronic statement. I would think that we would want to elect those people to represent us, to take away some of the things that are taking away from our freedom, but we're not. Again, we're becoming UK slowly and surely. We saw our former president now on his own network, and yes, he's gotten coverage back to where he could get on other platforms. But for the longest, he couldn't even get. The president of the United States could not even have a voice on the town square, on the public square, on social media. In a virtual world that we were living from home in, he could not speak, and the media was against him. That is what's happening in UK. And guess what? It's going to get worse here. You know why? Because of the narrative that's being pushed. Now, let's get to this picture, because I want us to really look at this. And I'm going to blow it up. I want to show it to you on my phone, but I want to blow it up for you. This is the picture of the rally, the Kamala rally. Okay, you see that there's nobody in the stands. This was shared by News Alert showing there was only like tens to hundreds to maybe 1,000 people there at first. The reason these rallies are getting so big, and what has been said, is the reason she's bringing in these huge country stars, these huge hip-hop stars, these huge rap stars like Megan Thee Stallion, and like this situation when they went to Wisconsin and Michigan, they had big artists there actually doing concerts, and they just kind of added themselves into it. So the reason they're getting these monster rallies is because they're probably bringing those star-studded people in to help them. Now, so they're getting sizable rallies, but is it because they want to hear what Kamala or Walz has to say, or are they wanting to hear the artist? There's a video yesterday of when it was kind of leaked about the Atlanta show, that when Megan Thee Stallion got done, which again, it's kind of unbelievable that we're allowing some things that happen at rally. And again, it just shows kind of the degradation of our society, really. But anyways, it showed that once she got done, there was people in droves leaving because they wanted to see Megan Thee Stallion, not Kamala. Now, the media spins it as the phenomenon of Kamala. She is gathering Trump-sized crowds. Well, is that true or not? Something else I want you to look at, and I'm going to bring this picture again up on the screen bigger. Now, this was the big rally that they were talking about. Showed tons of people there. Tons of people there. And what they said was this rally actually was called Country Jam USA. It actually was not a Kamala Harris rally. It became a Kamala Harris rally because she took it over. She was a guest speaker. And they started passing out signs. What do you not see at this rally? What do you not see in that picture? I see no patriotism. I see no flags flying. I see no banners of freedom. We don't. That's the scary thing about where we're at in our nation. The supporters that are buying into their system is people who probably can't afford to live, but they're drinking a Kool-Aid that has been poured in their drink from legacy media and from these politicians saying that they're going to change and make everything better for them. Kamala said 4 years with Biden to make things better, and it's all become worse. There's no one standing there for freedom or patriotism. There's no signs there showing freedom. There's no flags flying there. Not one flag is shown there. You know, the only flag was there was the pro-Palestinian people that were yelling at Kamala to stand with them. Where are the patriots? Where's the freedom-minded individuals that want to see things happen to represent our country? Walz got up there and said, I don't want people to know what my neighbor does. It's his freedom to do what he wants to do. You stay out of my homes. You stay out of my medical clinics. I make my decisions. That's coming from the same governor who's pushing for abortion. That's the whole point of what he was saying there. However, he was the same governor that shut down the seats. He was the same governor that allowed the riots to happen, but you couldn't buy things from Walmart that were not essential. He's the same one that set up a hotline to where if they saw you buying a Coke or buying a chocolate bar that was not essential, you could call and report your neighbor in. This is the same people that says you have to have this in your arm. But he calls the conservatives the fascist. He calls the conservatives the ones who don't want freedom. People are cheering that on. Like seals, man, in the audience. Like sheep led to the slaughter. That's what's scary. It's not the fact that they're lying to you about the size of the events. It's not the fact that they're lying to you about what they believe. It's not the fact that they have wish-washed and the media will not hold them accountable and criticize them. The fact is that people still believe it. That's the sad thing. They can't afford to buy a bowl of cereal for their children, but they are all in on this frivolous spending that the Democrats are doing and supporting. For instance, today another $3-point-something billion bill went to Ukraine. But the American people who are voting for these people to go in office can't even afford a bag of chips probably at the store. But then we can afford to give Venezuelans and immigrants cards, EBT cards, with thousands of dollars on them and send billions across the world. And we're still voting for them to change policy and make things better for us in America. What say you? These rallies, these pictures, the fact that we have Ritter getting, raided. The Amish farm are getting raided. Are we starting to see what's happening in the UK happen here? And then the enforcement wing, because they've weeded all the good ones out, they're enforcing things that are bad against the people of England. Their own people they're standing against. And they're standing up with these migrants. Are we going to see that here? Sadly, I think we are. I'm scared to say, I think times are going to get a lot harder. And the sad thing is that she is starting to gain momentum in the polls. And here's the thing. When people say, oh, the polls, we can't trust the polls. I understand that. But if they can make you believe that she's that close, if they can make you believe that she is now winning these states, then you won't be surprised when actually they win. Will they win honest? Will they win unethical? Doesn't matter. If all of a sudden Trump was up by 30% and then loses, kind of like what happened in Venezuela, the world goes crazy because they think, oh yeah, this was definitely a coup. This is definitely one of those situations. It was a not honest election in Venezuela. But if they can make you believe that the polls are so tight, or Kamala's winning a little bit, then you won't question it. Or excuse me, most conservatives with wisdom will question it, but most other Americans in most other countries will never question the fact that she won because of this phenomenon with huge rallies now, with the fact that she's building lines bigger than Trump now. All the while, the truth may be that there's big stars there, and that's what's actually bringing the crowds. All the while, the polls may not be real, but they make you believe they're real so people follow it. All the while, they're standing up at the event saying that Trump wants to take their freedoms, and Walz's policies were taking your freedom. Kamala's stances are taking your freedom. But again, we stand there. I don't. But these people stand there and applaud. No American flags, no freedom flying, no patriotism. Let's support everybody else but Americans. Did you know in Minnesota, Walz, he had a policy where during the events of 2020, his help went to a lot of other people before it went to Americans. Look it up. Look at where his financial aid and his emergency aid went. It went to different groups of people he withheld from white Americans. That's wrong. And that's exactly what we're going to see. What UK is a foreshadowing of America if November goes in the way of DNC. Pay attention to what's going on. I don't want you to ever think, well, that's happening in the UK, it's not happening here. When it happens there, it's foreshadowing, and that's what will happen here. It starts in our cities, always, and then goes across the country like a virus. Pay attention to what's going on. Focus on your freedoms, and pay attention to these pictures. What do you see at these rallies? What do you not see at these rallies? And I tell you who we're facing. Good versus evil people. That's the truth. Let me know your thoughts. Am I wrong? Am I right? I want to hear from you. Comment below, and please give us a thumbs up. It means the world to me, and it helps spread our message across this way. God bless.